We took the transport of plants, now transport in animals, and at a certain point, I'm going to speak about humans only. The transport in animals, let me explain something to you at the beginning, before I begin this transport. Now, suppose I have a very simple organism that is formed only of one cell. One cell only. There are organisms that are unicellular like this. So the materials are going to be transported from the medium to the inside together with water taban by diffusion or osmosis, because it's only one cell take. Yani this is the organism, it's only one cell. And after this organism makes its metabolic reactions, the wastes are going to be excreted by, again, diffusion. It is only one cell. It is in direct contact from all aspects by its medium that contains these materials needed by the cell. What if I have an organism? Suppose this is the organism, and it is formed of so many cells, like this, and so on. Okay, what if they depended on diffusion and osmosis like the simple cell? Of course, this is multicellular, having a great number of cells. If these multicellular organisms will depend on diffusion and osmosis like the simple ones, so the outer cells only will receive the materials only. But what about the cells inside? They have to wait for a long time until the materials diffuse to them. And of course, these the main materials that are needed by any organism are food and oxygen in order to respire. If these complicated or complex multicellular organisms, they relied on diffusion and osmosis only, for the outer cells, they are going to benefit. But what about the inner cells? What's the solution to this? Complex organisms that are multicellular, they have to be supplied or provided with a well-developed system to allow the materials to reach all the cells in the same time. And this system, of course, is called the circulatory system. Why circulatory? Because it has a certain part of it that circulates all around the body, taking with it all the materials, the nutrients, oxygen, waste, carbon dioxide, and everything. All the materials, whether harmful or useful, they are going to circulate throughout the body with this system. The circulatory system is formed of three parts. It is formed of the heart, blood, and blood vessels. And again, I mentioned before, in the xylem, what's meant by a vessel? It's like a channel through which a liquid is moving. Here the heart is going to pump the blood, which is going to move in the blood vessels. The heart, it has inside it valves. What are these valves? These act like gates that open in one direction to allow the blood to move in one direction only. And when we are going to deal with the heart, we are going to see where are these valves found. But the valves, they are important to allow the blood to move in one direction only and not the opposite. For example, I have this valve that looks like a gate. It's in this direction. So when the blood comes, it will open it like this, and the blood is going to pass through this direction only, but not the opposite. where I'm going to explain everything about the valves in details later on. Right. This means that this circulatory system is involved with the functions to transport nutrients and oxygen. Of course, these are useful materials. Where? To the cells. What else? This circulatory system is going to transport, again, transport waste materials, wastes of metabolism, wastes. This is to the cell, يبقى هنا from the cell. Okay, and this circulatory system will provide a very good gas exchange between the different parts of the body. طب let us look at these كده. طبعا one by one, we are going to cope with this one by one. But I'd like at the beginning to mention the types of circulation or circulatory systems. The first type of circulation is called the single circulation. Single circulation is found in fish. I'm going to show it to you, and yes, Kenzie, and tell you why it is called single. And there is the double circulation, and I'm going to show you a picture now. They all look like each other. And Kenzie is not helping me. I'm an Ibas. بصوا يا جماعة. Here is the fish طبعا. Look at this. Here in the, there is a covering here in the fish head that is called the operculum. So long as the fish is in water, this operculum is opening and closing. Why? To allow water to pass over these gills. Okay, the gills are structures that look like this. Just if you remove or you open this operculum, you're going to see the gills just below it or under it or at its back. Here, when the water passes through these over the gills will extract oxygen that is dissolved in water. Some students, they think that this is water, so this oxygen is going to be taken by the fish. No, this is the water surface, whatever, the sea, ocean, river. Here is air containing oxygen, and this is water. Oxygen is going to enter from the air to dissolve in water, making a solution. So these blood vessels in the gills will absorb or will extract the oxygen out of water. Now here, oxygen is going to pass with blood to all parts of the fish where metabolism happens, and of course, the cells here, they are going to take the oxygen and release carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide will pass with blood through the heart. This is the heart of the fish. And then carbon dioxide will be carried again to the gills, so there is excretion. But how many times the blood passed the heart? Only once. That's why we called it a single circulation, and we are not going to see this again any other time. Now, the only thing why, or the only question why is it single circulation, we're going to say because the blood will pass through the heart only once, and it is, of course, here, as I explained, is blood carrying carbon dioxide and not oxygen. Now, what about humans or the higher animals? We have a double circulation. Look at this. Madam single circulation means that the blood passes through the heart once. يبقى double circulation, the blood will pass through the heart twice. So as you can see here from this picture, this is the heart, of course. The blood is going to enter through the heart coming from the lungs. These are the lung, this is the lung area. So the blood is going to take oxygen from the lungs and enter to the heart. So this is the first entry to the heart. Then the blood is going to get out of the heart to reach every single cell in the body, where the cells will take the oxygen, make the respiration metabolic reactions, and release the wastes in the opposite direction to return back to the heart. Yep, this is the first entry, or the first passage of blood into the heart, where the blood is carrying oxygen, and we call it oxygenated blood. Coming from which part? From the lungs. This is the lung area. Now, the second entry, this is the second one, where here the blood is not carrying oxygen back. It is carrying carbon dioxide, or it is without oxygen, so we call it deoxygenated blood. And this is the second entry, or the second passage of the blood through the heart. Deoxygenated means, de means without, or no, without oxygen. After the blood passes here to the heart, it has to be oxygenated again. So it returns back to the lung in order to get rid of the carbon dioxide and take the oxygen once more. But this is what's meant by the double circulation, means that the blood enters the heart twice. One here and one, and then the other time from the opposite side. If I put another picture for this double circulation, this is the picture that's found in the book. Here it is. Here it is, but let me zoom this in a bit. Now here it's already drawn بقى in this is the heart, of course. This is the lung area, and this represents all the body cells. This rectangle represents the lungs, and this rectangle represents all the body cells. So blood is coming from the lungs, carrying oxygen. It's going to enter to the left side of the heart. This is the left side of the heart. You're going to say, no, this is the right. No, this is the left, and this is the right. Consider yourself shaking hands with the heart. Are you going to shake hands with you use your right hand, shake it with the left hand side of the heart, or with the right hand side? So this is the right hand side, and this is the left hand side, as if you're standing, and this is your heart, putting this picture at your back. So this is your left, and this is your right. So the oxygenated blood is coming, carrying oxygen to enter the heart through the left side, and the blood is going to pump this oxygenated blood, carrying oxygen and nutrition to all the body cells where there is here exchange of gases. So what does this mean? It means that these cells, they are always making or respiring, always performing metabolic activities. Always there is carbon dioxide inside the cell. For when the blood is coming carrying oxygen, so oxygen is going to enter to the cell, and carbon dioxide is going to get out. Suppose this is the cell, and there is a high amount of carbon dioxide inside. And this is the capillary, or the blood vessel, that is carrying oxygen. with high amount. So here there is a low amount of oxygen. Here there is a low amount of carbon dioxide. So what will happen? The oxygen is going to move by diffusion, and carbon dioxide as well is going to get out by diffusion. This means that the gases are exchanging their positions, and this is what we call the exchange of gases in the cells. Now, by this exchange of gases, the carbon dioxide is going to enter the blood to be carried back to the heart, but to the right side of the heart. Now, this deoxygenated blood, it has to regain back its oxygen, so the heart will pump the deoxygenated blood to the lungs, where there is again exchange of gases. This is the air sac of the lung, and it contains a lot of oxygen and little amount of carbon dioxide. You're going to tell me, where does the carbon dioxide come from? When we breathe in, we are breathing in air, and air is a mixture of gases. We have nitrogen, 79%. We have oxygen in the air, 21%. And we have carbon dioxide in the air, 0.04%. It means that when we breathe in, we are breathing all these gases inside our lung, but nitrogen will not pass to the blood. These are the gases that will pass to the blood. So when we breathe in, we are filling our lung, or our air sacs in the lung, with oxygen and a little amount of carbon dioxide. Now here the blood vessel comes from the heart loaded with carbon dioxide and a very little amount of oxygen. And let me give you this information. When the cells use oxygen here, it uses part of the oxygen and not all of it. You're going to know this in AS بقى, A2 وكده. Not all the oxygen that reaches the cells is going to be used in order to return back with a low amount of oxygen. Can anybody tell me why? Why, ya Abdul Rahman? The blood has to return with a little amount of oxygen. Why? And there is another exchange of gases here at the lung level. Why the blood has to return with a little amount of oxygen? Can you all think about this, please? أنا عارفة عبد الرحمن بياخد وقت in typing شوية, but I know we are going to get the answer. Excuse me?
I didn't get the question, but
Now, I said that this blood here that is returning, carrying carbon dioxide in order to be released in the lungs, the blood is also carrying a little amount of oxygen. Why? Yes, I said that the cells do not consume all the oxygen, but why it does not consume all the oxygen and the blood has to contain little amount of oxygen? Can anybody tell me? Here in the lung level, look inside here and here. What do you notice about oxygen? No left for the lungs to use. No. No, this is not the answer. Look at the amount of oxygen here and the amount of oxygen here. What's going to happen? Are they the same amount? فكروا يا جماعة شوية. I have here a high amount of oxygen and here I have a low amount of oxygen. What's going to happen? What's the meaning of amount? A diffusion. Excellent, ya Veronica. Excellent. Yes, of course, ya Kenzie. Excellent. Here I have a high concentration of oxygen and here lower. This means that there is a concentration gradient. So oxygen is going to pass easily. And the same with carbon dioxide. Why the carbon dioxide in air remains in the lung like this, waiting for this very high concentration, so carbon dioxide can pass easily to the outside by diffusion. Excellent. Okay, here again in the lung there is another exchange of gases. That's why I told you that the circulatory system aim بتاعها is to exchange gases as well, not only to carry the gases and nutrients or wastes. No, it also helps the exchange of gases by this difference in concentration of the gases in the blood and in the different parts of the lungs and in the cells. This is what is meant by the double circulation. Because this is the case in higher animals, or in more complex animals, it means that the double circulation, it has certain advantages. Advantages of double circulation. Here, when the blood passes through the blood vessels of the lungs, if I have, for example, these are the lungs, like this. I'm going to draw them both of the same size, but actually the left lung is smaller. When the blood passes through the blood vessels of the lungs, this blood is going to lose a part of its pressure when it passes through the lungs. Why? Because the lungs, they are formed of air sacs, and I'd like that to give you the scientific name, alveoli. One is alveolus and all of them is alveoli. The blood, when it comes pumped from the heart to reach the lungs, as I told you before, that the deoxygenated blood is going to be pumped by the heart to reach the lungs. For the pumping of the heart is giving the blood a certain pressure, or a certain push, a certain force to enter the lungs. In the lungs, the alveoli, they are very delicate, and they are surrounded with very delicate blood capillaries, very, very delicate and very narrow. If the blood enters the capillaries with a very high force coming from the heart, these capillaries are going to burst. So just before the blood enters the lungs, it loses its pressure. Okay, in order to protect the capillaries, the very delicate capillaries that are found surrounding the alveoli. But when the blood يحصل exchange of gases and the blood returns back to the heart, so the heart is going to pump the blood to all the body with a high pressure. But why the blood will pump, the heart will pump the blood with a very high pressure to allow the blood to reach every single cell in the body in the same time with a very high speed. Yani the pumping pressure of the heart is very strong to allow the blood carrying oxygen and nutrients to reach every single cell nearly in the same time, and of course with a very high pressure. This is one advantage for the double circulation, is that when the blood is coming out of the heart, it loses its pressure to protect the very delicate capillaries that are found inside the lung tissue. And when it returns back as oxygenated blood to the heart has to push it with a very high force, giving it a very high pressure in order to allow the blood to reach all the cells nearly in the same time. في الدبل circulation, the oxygenated blood is transported from the heart with a very high pressure that will give the blood a very high speed. Yani when there is very high pressure, it increases the speed of the blood throughout, of course, the body parts, بقى organs will tissues and everything, in order to deliver the oxygen to the organs. Transporting of the blood at a faster rate is very important, because the tissues, they are in great need of oxygen and nutrients all the time, continuously, in order to make their metabolism. That's why they have to receive blood very, very fast. That's why the heart is pumping with a great pressure, a great force, to allow the blood to move very fast to reach all the tissues that are in great need of oxygen and nutrients for their metabolism. A double circulation ensures that the oxygenated blood reaches the tissues very fast. This is another advantage, a fast movement of the blood, because of this high pressure coming from the heart. And when we are going to learn something about the heart, you're going to know that this is true. Yani, you're going even to deduce these advantages. So let's go to our first part of circulatory system, of course, in the humans and upper animals, or higher animals, and let's begin with the heart. If I want to describe at the beginning, what is the heart? What is the heart? We say that the heart is a conical, because it looks like a cone like this. So we say that it is conical in shape, and it is empty from inside. طبعا there is a room to allow the blood to fill it, so it is hollow, and it is formed of muscles, so it is muscular. Yes, you can see. Bravo عليك. طيب, if I want to describe the heart, I have to mention these. It is a conical, hollow, muscular organ. Heart is an organ, of course. But which type of muscle? A kind of muscle, as Kanzi said, is called the cardiac muscle. But let me revise with you the muscles كده. In our body, we have three types of muscles. The first type is called skeletal muscles. And because of this name, it means that these muscles are attached to our skeleton. And we use these muscles in order to move the skeleton. If you want to make any movement, you are using these muscles. A second kind of muscles, they are called the smooth muscles. Remember the muscles that were found in the walls of the esophagus, the stomach, the intestine. These are smooth muscles. They allow peristalsis. Now, can we control the smooth muscles? No. This is involuntary. We cannot control them. Can we control the skeletal muscles? Yes. Whenever you want to move your body, you are moving your muscles. But these muscles are voluntary. It means you can move them with your own will, but these are involuntary. So where are they found? All around the body. Yani the skeletal muscles, they are attached to every part of the skeleton, while the smooth muscles are found all around the digestive tract, for example. But the third kind of muscle is only specific for the heart only. No other part of the body has this cardiac muscle. If I want to describe the heart, I'm going to say this is a conical, hollow, muscular organ formed of cardiac muscle. So what is the size of the heart? Just clench your fist or close your fists. You're going to know the size of your heart. Close your fists, then this is the size of the heart. Somebody is going to say, my fist is so small, like mine, kida. Does this mean that my heart is that small? Yes. But yani, the hearts, of course, they differ in size according to the size of the whole body. Hand, if you close the hand or you close your fist, then this is the size of your heart. But where is the heart found? The heart is found in between the lungs. If this is the right lung, like this, and this is the left lung, and I told you it is slightly smaller than the right lung. But why is it smaller? Because the heart is found here, to give a space for the heart to be found. But it is located, or it is found in between both lungs, slightly tilted to the left. يعني بتبقى الهارت just beneath the left lung كده in this groove أو this curved area of the left lung. So the heart is fixed or is fitted in this area. طيب الcardiac muscle or the muscle that forms the heart. This muscle, of course, it's like any kind of muscle. It can contract and it can relax. And because of contraction and relaxation of the cardiac muscle, it allows the heart to perform its function, which is pumping of blood. Okay, but what's the structure of the heart? I'm going to show you two pictures, one of them for the heart from outside, and this is not that important, and I'm going to show you the structure of the heart from inside, which is important. This is the heart from outside. Just you can see here the conical shape, like this. It's nothing more. This looks like a cone like this. Okay, but what about the inside of the heart? To show you the parts of the heart. If we open the heart lengthwise like this, yani I'm going to open it lengthwise, I'm going to see that it is divided into two sides. This one is the left side of the heart, left side, and the other side is the right side of the heart. So what is the partition between both of them that divided the heart into two sides? This wall. This wall is called the septum, and it is again formed of cardiac muscle. So we call it the muscular septum, or a septum that is formed of cardiac muscle, muscular septum. Type. The presence of this muscular septum is very important. Why بقى? Because as I told you before, that the blood coming from here to the left side of the heart is coming filled with oxygen. So this is oxygenated blood. While on the other side, the blood entering the left side, the right side of the heart is deoxygenated. The presence of this partition or this wall or this muscular septum separates the types of blood from each other, separates the oxygenated blood from the deoxygenated blood, or else if they mix up, so the amount of oxygen reaching the cells will be very low. They have to be separated from each other. Now, this is for the sides. Each side of the heart is divided into two chambers. This is one chamber, this is the other, and this is one chamber, and this is the other one. These chambers are called, the upper ones, they are called the atria. Atrium is one chamber, upper chamber. Atria, they are all of them, both of them, singular and plural. But because this is the left side of the heart, so this is the left atrium. And this is the right side of the heart, this is the right atrium. What about the lower chambers? Again, the lower chambers, they are called ventricles. When this is the left one, this is a left ventricle, this is the right one, this is the right ventricle. Both atrium and ventricle they are separated from each other by a valve. This is a one-way valve, as I told you before. So blood is going to pass like this, not the opposite direction, from the atrium to the ventricle. What about the other side? Yes, again, this is the one-way valve, and blood will pass from the right atrium to the right ventricle, and not the opposite direction. Type. When the blood fills the right atrium, this valve will open to allow the blood to enter the right ventricle. And then the blood in the right ventricle is going to be pumped by the muscle of the heart, of the ventricle, through this artery. This artery is called the pulmonary artery. And anything called pulmonary, it means it is related to the lung. But this means that this artery is going to allow the blood to reach the lungs. We have two lungs, that's why this artery is divided as soon as it gets out of the heart into two branches, one for each lung. So the deoxygenated blood is going to move from the right ventricle to the lungs through this pulmonary artery. طبعا in the lungs there will be exchange of gases where the blood is going to receive oxygen and leave the carbon dioxide, so the blood will return from the lung filled with oxygen or oxygenated blood. It's going to return back to the heart, to the left atrium, but through certain veins. And these veins, because they are carrying blood from the lungs, then they are pulmonary veins. So when the blood goes to the lungs, this is a pulmonary artery. When they return back from the lungs, this is a pulmonary vein. Oxygenated blood, of course, is going to enter the left atrium. Then this valve will open. Blood is going to move from the left atrium to the left ventricle. This left ventricle is going to contract, or it's going to, the muscle is going to push the blood with a very high force through this great artery, which is called the aorta. Aorta is the greatest artery of the body, so it delivers blood to every single tissue in the body. Why? Because the heart here is contracting forcibly with a very high pressure, so it pushes the blood with a very high pressure in order to allow the blood to reach every part of the body nearly in the same time. As you can see, that the aorta is taking an arch, and then it passes behind or at the back of the body like this, behind the heart, and even at the back of the body to emerge from the other side like this. But when it just gets out of the heart at its arch, it's going to give branch here to the upper part of the body, here to the head, and also to the arms. Yani in the picture they said to the head, khalas. And this to the body means to the arms or the upper part of the body. Upper part of the body means above the level of the heart. Yani if you want to know what's your upper part of the body, just extend your arms. Everything from the arm and above, this is the upper part of the body, and everything from below the arms is the lower part of the body. طب why the arms? Because they are تقريبا at the upper level of the heart. For anything above the heart level is called the upper part of the body, and everything below the heart level is called the lower part of the body. For these branches of the aorta, one branch will go to the head and of course to the brain, while the other branch is going to give blood to the parts of the body up above the level of the heart. And then the aorta is going to pass on the whole length of the body, and during its passage it's going to give branches. But let me draw this. If this is the aorta, which is passing بقى to the lower part of the body. Along its pathway, it is giving branches like this to every part of the body. Let me erase this because I need this area. The aorta, during its pathway, it's giving branches and branches and branches to all parts of the body until finally, at the end of the trunk, it divides into two branches. One of them is going to one leg or lower limb, and it ends in the toes of the feet. So that's why the aorta, as I said, it is the main artery that is found inside the body. Artery means the blood vessel that carries blood away from the heart. But if you can see here, I said about this blood vessel, an artery, pulmonary artery, because it's carrying blood away from the heart. The aorta is an artery because it carries blood away from the heart. But what if the blood is coming to the heart? These are called blood vessels called the veins. Now, when the aorta is carrying oxygenated blood to every single part of the tissues, the cells, so oxygen, and of course, this aorta is carrying nutrients as well. So the cells are going to use the nutrients and the oxygen and produce the wastes. Wastes are going to return back to the heart, but through different blood vessels. Of course, these are not arteries, these are veins. Because I just said that the veins, they carry, yes, of course, you can see. Do you know that these veins, because they are great veins, they are called Vena Cava. Here I have one great vein collecting the deoxygenated blood and the waste from the lower part of the body. That's why we call it the inferior vena cava. Inferior means below or lower, because it collects the blood from the lower part of the body, while the upper vena cava is called the superior, because superior means upper, so it collects the deoxygenated blood and wastes from the upper part of the body, returning the blood back to the heart. So the arteries, they take the blood away from the heart, whether deoxygenated or oxygenated, while the veins, they return the blood to the heart, whether oxygenated or deoxygenated. طيب.
طب يا دكتور عندي question.
Yes, of course.
البulmonary vein زي الفينا كافا هم 2 veins يعني؟
لا، ما انا لسه بقول لك. هو الارتري will take the blood away from the heart, whether it is carrying deoxygenated blood or oxygenated. هو اي حاجه، اي blood vessel carries blood away from the heart, it is called artery. انا لسه لما ناخد الارتريز بقى مع بعض هبتدي احط لكم الكلام ده كله بقى متوضم مع بعضه تاني. بس انا هنا حابه اقول ايه، ان الارتريز they take the blood away from the heart. يعني الهارت is going to pump so the blood will get out through artery. ده deoxygenated. طب what about the other side? Oxygenated, but when the heart pumps بتطلع لي البلد through an artery. Arteries, they take the blood away from the heart. لازم البلد يبقى pumped from the heart to be taken away. While the veins, سواء الفينا كيفي أو الpulmonary veins, as you can see the arrow, بيعمل returning back to the blood to the heart. طب ما ده oxygenated and this is oxygenated. Never mind. Any blood vessel that returns the blood back to the heart, it is called a vein. Where no matter what's the kind of blood inside. Okay, هي مسألة taking blood to ولا from the heart. From the heart يبقى arteries على طول. To the heart يبقى اسمه vein على طول. Any more questions before I proceed? No questions? Veronica, do you have any questions or Abdul Rahman? The time run out. طيب next time إن شاء الله عدت 6. Next time I'm going to continue. Okay. يلا باي باي. We'll wait for homework tonight. يلا باي باي.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you for listening.